Hello, fellas. How y'all doing today? It's good to see you guys. It's been a while. But today we're gonna talk. We're gonna listen to a conversation. Okay, we're gonna listen to a conversation from the devil. Now, let's not forget the devil is a liar. He's a thief. He steals. But then, when you get to talk to him and you get to listen to him, because of the sake of fairness, uh, fairness. That's how God created it. He must speak the truth about certain things. So you talk to the devil, you get 98% truth out of what he's saying, and then the 2% is a trick that you'll have to figure out. But talking to the devil is good because you have to know the devil to catch the devil. You understand what I mean? You have to know a monkey to catch a monkey. You understand? So you got to know the devil a little bit to know how to find him out and figure him out. And hearing from him adds to that. So we're going to listen to a conversation from the devil. Delving into the mind of a devil and how he works on us. Because we have the devil here and we have God in here. It's all in here. But God made all of it. And then made this devil here for you that don't love him, God. All right? So now let's listen to the conversation.
Here begins the interview with the devil. I've uncovered the secret code by which I can pick up your thoughts. I have come to ask you some very plain questions. I demand that you give me direct and truthful answers. Are you ready for the interview, Mr. Devil?
Yes, I am. But you must address me with more respect. During this interview, you will address me as Your Majesty.
By what right do you demand such royal respect?
You should know I control 98% of the people of your world. Do you not think that entitles me to rate as royalty?
Are you listening?
Have you proof of your claim?
Yes, plenty of it.
Of what does your proof consist?
He controls 98% of the people of the world. 98%. So only 2% really fear God Almighty. That is staggering. Did you know that? 98% of the whole world is controlled by Lucifer. They love Lucifer. Some of them unknowingly, unwillfully, because they're not using their will and they're not thinking, they're being tricked. So it's a lot of them just following the crowd. Oh, it's a lot of us over here. No, let's pay attention.
Of many things. If you want answers, you will address me as Your Majesty. Some things you will understand, some you will not. In order that you may get my viewpoint, I shall describe myself and correct the false notions people have of me and my place of abode.
That is a fine idea, Your Majesty. Start by telling me where you live, then describe your physical appearance.
My physical appearance? Why, my dear Mr. Earthbound, I have no physical body. I would be handicapped by such an encumbrance as those in which you earthbound creatures live. I consist of negative energy, and I live in the minds of people who fear me. I also occupy 1/2 of every atom of physical matter and every unit of mental and physical energy.
He lives in the mind of people who fear him. But the only reason why you fearing the devil and afraid of the devil is because you forgot to fear God, who made the devil. You know, when you direct your fear towards God, the devil has no control over you anymore. because it is that fear that he uses against you. Once you're scared of him, oh, you're in trouble.
Perhaps you will better understand my nature if I tell you I am the negative portion of the atom.
Oh, I see what you're preparing to claim. You were laying the foundation to say that if it were not for you, there would be no world, no stars, no electrons, no atoms, no human beings, nothing. Is that correct?
True. Absolutely true.
Well, if you only occupy one half of energy and matter, who occupies the other half?
The other half is occupied by my opposition.
Opposition? What do you mean?
The opposition is what you earthbound call God.
So you have the universe divided up with God. Is that your claim?
Not my claim, but the actual fact. Before this interview is finished, you will understand why my claim is true. You will also understand why it has to be true, or there could be no world such as yours, no earthbound creatures such as you. I am no beast with a forked tongue and a spiked tail.
But you do control the minds of 98 out of every 100 people. You said so yourself. Who causes all the misery in this 98% devil-controlled world if you do not?
I have not said that I do not cause all the misery of the world. On the other hand, I boast of it. It is my business to represent the negative side of everything, including...
Did you hear that? It is his business. It is why he was formed. That is what he lives for, to represent the negative side of anything. Anything that is good, he has to be the opposite of it and strong with it. Okay?
Including the thoughts of you earthbound people. How else could I control people? My opposition controls positive thought. I control negative thought.
How do you gain control of the minds of...
What you feed here is what grows. The devil controls negative thoughts. His opposition, which is God Almighty, controls positive thoughts. What you feed is what will grow. You feed the positive, the devil has no control over you. You feed the negative, God will leave you alone. All right, let's go.
people?
Oh, that is easy. I merely move in and occupy the unused space of the human brain. I sow the seeds of negative thought in the minds of people so I can occupy and control the space.
You must have many tricks and devices by which you gain and hold control of the human mind.
To be sure, I employ tricks and devices to control human thought. My devices are clever ones, too.
Go ahead and describe your clever tricks, Your Majesty.
One of my cleverest devices for mind control is fear. I plant the seed of fear in the minds of people, and as these seeds germinate and grow, through use, I control the space they occupy. The 6 most effective fears are the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death.
Which of these 6 fears serves you most often, Your Majesty?
And then, hey, this is an interesting conversation. But it's a long one. Yeah, it's a long one. It's like 3 hours. I don't think we want to sit down 3 hours and do this, right? So we're going to cut it in sections. And we will listen to some. We'll come back, we'll listen to some. And we'll continue and listen to some. And we'll listen to some. That way, we're actually following it. And that, okay, you care to listen. And all right, so let's listen.
First and the last, poverty and death. At one time or another during life, I tighten my grip on all people through one or both of these. I plant these fears in the minds of people so deftly that they believe them to be their own creation. I accomplish this end by making people believe I am standing just beyond the entrance gate of the next life, waiting to claim them after death for eternal punishment. Of course, I cannot punish anyone, except in that person's own mind.
Did you hear that? Lucifer can't punish you. He can't punish anybody. You punish yourself. You know how you punish yourself? Because you're directing your fear for him and towards him, instead of directing that fear for God and towards God. So once you direct that fear towards him, you're in trouble. But he's not the one giving you the trouble. You are giving yourself the trouble. Just redirect that mind and see if that trouble will be there. The trouble will disappear. It will dissipate. Okay, let's listen.
Form of fear. But fear of the thing which does not exist is just as useful to me as fear of that which does exist. All forms of fear extend the space I occupy in the human mind.
Your Majesty, will you explain how you gained this control over human beings?
The story is too long to be told in a few words. It began over 1,000,000 years ago when the first man began to think. Up to that time, I had control over all mankind, but enemies of mine discovered the power of positive thought, placed it in the minds of men, and then began a battle on my part to remain in control. So far, I have done quite well by myself, having lost only 2% of the people to the opposition.
I take it from your answer that men who think are your enemies. Is that right?
It is not right, but it is correct.
Well, tell me something more about the world in which you live.
I live where...
The devil don't like you, a thinking man, Because when you think, now you want, you get the results, man. You get answers when you think. As a thinker, no, you will find the answer. You will find it. And the devil don't like you being a thinker. Because once that mind is idle, he can easily get in there. All right, let's listen.
Wherever I choose. Time and space do not exist for me. I am a force best described to you as energy. My favorite physical dwelling place, as I have told you, is in the minds of the earthbound. I control a part of the brain space of every human being. The amount of space I occupy in each individual's mind depends upon how little and what sort of thinking that person does. As I have told you, I cannot entirely control any person who thinks.
You speak of your opposition. Just what do you mean by that?
The word is entirely control. So even as thinking people, still the devil has influence. You understand? Sometimes we miss the trick. Even as thinking people. So imagine you who is not thinking at all, bro. Imagine you who somebody else got to think for you. They tell you go this way, you're going. You don't sit back and say, why I got to go that way? What is there? Why is he telling me to go that way? Where did he come from? Who is he? What is there for me? But you just go because they say go. You're not thinking. The devil like people like you. And unfortunately, or sadly enough, it is 98% of people, human beings on earth, that act like that are like that.
My opponent controls all the positive forces of the world, such as love, faith, hope, and optimism. My opponent also controls the positive factors of all natural law throughout the universe, the forces which keep the Earth and the planets and all the stars balanced in their courses. But these forces are meek in comparison with those which operate in the human mind under my control. You see, I do not seek to control stars and planets. I prefer the control of human minds.
Where did you acquire your power?
You, because human minds, we got will. Start saying there's no will to control nothing. But you and me, we got will. But why the will? Because God want to know which of you and me really love him. And so he made this Lucifer here. So if we run away from him, God will go to this Lucifer here. And his Lucifer here will make our lives miserable. One, and then finally we're going to end up in the fire with this Lucifer here. Let's keep listening.
And by what means do you add to it?
I add to my power by appropriating the mind power of the earthbound as they come through the gate at the time of death. 98 out of every 100 who come back to my plane from the earth plane are taken over by me, and their mind power is added to my being. I get all who come over with any form of fear. You see, I am constantly at work, preparing the minds of people before death, so I can appropriate them when they come back to my plane.
Will you tell me how you go about your job of preparing human minds so you can control them?
I have countless ways of gaining control of human minds while they are still on the earth plane. My greatest weapon is poverty. I deliberately discourage people from accumulating material wealth because poverty discourages men from thinking and makes them easy prey for me. My next best friend is
poverty. See, when you're poor, then the devil can use one of his agents, another human being that is rich, to come and tell you, the poor man, let's go this way. And because you're poor, you're most likely to go that way. You're most likely. But that way is where your grave sits, and he's taking you there to go bury you. So you have to find this money, but you find it in God. Don't sit back and they tell you money is evil. No, you need it, but don't love it. Don't love it so much you want to do evil, but you need it though, and you can get it. Serve that gift God gave you, that beautiful thing you know that nobody know. Yeah, offer it to people and let them pay you for it. It's clean money. All right, you need it.
ill health. An unhealthy body discourages thinking. Then I have countless thousands of workers on Earth who aid me in gaining control of human minds.
Agents.
I have these agents placed in every calling. They represent every race.
Every calling. It means they're in the churches, they're in the mosque, they're in everywhere, anywhere. And good and evil, the human beings are. He got agents there, so you got to beware and pay attention.
And creed. Every religion.
Who are your greatest enemies on Earth, Your Majesty?
All who inspire people to think and act on their own initiative are my enemies. Such men as Socrates, Confucius, Voltaire, Emerson, Thomas Paine, and
pay attention to
Abraham Lincoln.
This devil here.
And you are not doing me any good either.
Is it true that you use men who have great wealth?
As I have already told you, poverty is always my friend because it discourages independence of thought and encourages fear in the minds of men. Some wealthy men serve my cause, while others do me great damage, depending on how the wealth is used. The great Rockefeller fortune, for example, is one of my worst enemies.
That is interesting, Your Majesty. Will you tell me why you fear the Rockefeller fortune more than others?
The Rockefeller money is being used to isolate and conquer diseases of the physical body in all parts of the world.
He's vomiting. He still want to trick you in the midst of it. So pay attention, okay? Now he says the Rockefellers. All right, so now you sit back and ask yourself, who are the Rockefellers? Do you know them? Investigate. Find out who they are. Because now the devil is telling you, these Rockefellers are people that he's not too happy with the kind of money they got because, according to the devil, they use their money against him, the devil. But then, who are the Rockefellers? Do you know who they are? Find out who they are. And then see if he's trying to trick you.
Disease has
or
always
if he's
been
not
one
trying
of
to
my
trick you.
most effective weapons.
All right?
The fear of ill health is second only to the fear of poverty. The Rockefeller money is uncovering new secrets of nature in 100 different directions, all of which are designed to help men take and keep possession of their own minds. It is encouraging new and better methods of feeding, clothing, and housing.